How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto anime. Today we're going to be covering episode 169, which involves Team 10 teaming up with Shinki's team for a joint mission. And Deepa gets involved, because he's our favorite car member, isn't he, guys? Anyways, before I get into the review, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, as I've been covering the car actuation arc since it began, and I will continue to do so. And I might even cover the OW arc when it happens eventually. And probably Kawaki. Anyways, let's get into that review, shall we? Now, before I get into the main event and this episode, I just want to talk about some cool tidbits in this episode. So I did like the scene with Boruto training, and it shows that, he's kind of reached his limit, and Shikadai comes up to him and talks to him, and Shikadai sees how determined Boruto is. And the same thing happens with Chocho, where she goes to see what Sarada's up to and sees that she's really training really hard and seems very determined. I like how that just adds to the episode, because when they're on their mission later on, they bring it up and they talk about, man, the person that they must have went up against is, like, they're really pushing themselves to actually overcome this person, and just how dangerous is this person. So I thought that was a really nice part in the episode. Now, one of the coolest reveals in this episode, I think, in my opinion, was when Victor and Mujino are at Victor's medical facility. They're sneaking around, and that's when they discover the scientists from, you remember the scientist from the Mitsuki arc? I know it's been a while since that arc aired, but remember that guy that seemingly disappeared? Yeah, we kind of all suspected that this guy had maybe some affiliation with Kara, and it was completely confirmed here that this guy is an outer member of Kara. That is awesome. So it seems like there's other outer members that are working at this facility, and they noticed that there was a patient. It was like the 5th patient that week, and they're going down to basically a restricted part of the medical facility, where probably the normal staff of the facility can't go into because they're not outers and they're not aware of what's really going on at the facility. So I thought that was a really interesting scene, so I'm wondering if maybe they're going to slowly build that up as the arc goes on. Maybe, like, next week's episode we get, like, another scene with Konohamaru and Mujino. They're doing some more investigating at the facility. They discover something. I don't know, but I think this is all really cool, and it really connects the dots of kind of what's going on. And another thing, too, is with Shikadai, Team 10 and the Sand Village's joint mission today. They're actually retrieving a puppet from that Shikadai battled back in the Urashiki arc, or right before the time slip arc. So I like how everything's kind of connecting together. It shows that all the people saying that these are fillers, kind of wrong. I just like how the anime is connecting everything this way. And moving on to the main event in the episode. So Team 10 are sent on a joint mission with Shinki's team in the Sand Village, and they're going to retrieve, like I just mentioned, that puppet that Shikadai faced off against in the Urashiki arc. And it's the only puppet that basically went missing. They couldn't find it. So their mission is just to go and retrieve it. So when they're on their way via train to this to the Sand Village, I like how it seems like everything's kind of casual, and Chocho basically tells them, hey, there's this shop that my dad saw one time on his way home from a mission, and it has some really delicious food. And yeah, so they go to head off, and it seems like, it's just like a waste of time. It seems like a unimportant part in the episode. But that's when Shikadai and the others run into Deepa, and they have kind of an awkward stare off, and he kind of just walks away. And they walk in, and yeah, everybody in the shop has literally been murdered. And well, that got dark pretty quickly. So it's funny, because the episode, it felt kind of easygoing. It felt kind of casual, like, lighthearted, and then suddenly, boom, instantly got dark. I know that they said that when Kara showed up, the anime would get a lot darker instantly, and it seems like that's the case, especially in this episode. Anyway, Shikadai and the others, they have to fill out a bunch of reports due to all the murders that just took place here. And they eventually meet up with Shinki's team, and they discuss the mission, and Shikadai takes lead. So they end up heading off to the site where Shikadai last faced off against this puppet. And that's when our boy Deepa shows up. And Shikadai and the others recognize him, and he's pretty much the main suspect of the murders. And Deepa's just here to retrieve the item that Victor sent him to retrieve, and it happens to be this puppet. Interesting. So is this the same puppet that appears in the OW arc? Or at least a prototype of it? Not really sure. And I like how right before they engage in battle, Deepa's over here like, oh yes, you're from the Hidden Leaf as well. Yeah, I dealt with some Hidden Leaf scum the other day. Yeah, they're nothing. And that's when Shikadai puts the dots together and realizes this is the guy that Boruto and Sarda are training to defeat, the one that took them out completely. And yeah, Deepa pretty much does the same here. Shinki has his iron sand defense, and it just can't hold up against Deepa's, relentless attack that seems to go on infinitely. And they come with a bit of a strategy, but Shinki's teammates get taken out completely as some of the iron cubes break through and take him out. So they come up with a strategy where Cho uses the human boulder and does the expansion jutsu, human boulder, tries to, get Deepa's attention. Inogen comes up from the sky and distracts him, but he gets taken out. And Cho comes in to get to Deepa, and that's when Shikadai in secret actually manages to get him with the shadow paralysis jutsu. Seemingly has him, and yet Shinki's attack, his iron fist, yeah, it does absolutely nothing to Deepa. Remember when he used that against Urashiki last year in that one episode? Yeah, he actually did some damage to Urashiki, but Deepa literally didn't phase him. And Deepa's basically getting away with the puppet. And, it's kind of a little strange at first because, you'd think Deepa would just take them out. One thing that's noticeable here is that there's steam coming from Deepa's fist, which seems to indicate that he's at his limit. So he decides to walk away. But Shinki's not giving up, and he uses one last attack. It's an iron feather to pierce Deepa. And despite that, despite getting pierced, it doesn't seem to phase Deepa. The puppet seemingly gets destroyed, and he seemingly drops it. So I don't know if he managed to retrieve it or Shikadai and the others managed to retrieve it. It was kind of left open-ended, but anyways, Shikadai reports this to Naruto, and that's pretty much where the episode comes to an end. So once again, another solid episode of Boruto, which that's 4 in a row that have been at least an 8 out of 10 or above. And that's a good streak for Boruto. I have to say, if the anime keeps us up, this could be one of the best, if not the best arc of Boruto. Maybe it's still below the Chunin exam arc, but this is one of the best arcs. I love what the anime is doing. The expansion of the manga has been fantastic. I like the connections that's going on here. They're connecting, seemingly events that would seem to be filler to most people, and they're connecting it here to the Kara activation arc. They're connecting them to Kara, and it's all kind of making sense. I like how everything is just, connecting and wrapping up together. It's really nice. So I'm wondering what's going on with Deepa, because in this episode he seemed very off. He seemed very depressed at the shop, and he seemed kind of depressed after the battle ended. I mean, before that he was his normal self, but he seemed very off. Now, it could be explained that his body was at his limits because there was steam coming out of his body. So he probably couldn't exert himself any further, because that's a weakness for the scientific ninja tools with the Kara members, as we learned with Boro and with Delta. But I'm wondering what's going on, though, because he just seems, kind of bummed out in this episode. I'm wondering if maybe he's viewing himself as just a pawn of Kara, because he's just being sent to retrieve stuff. He was sent to retrieve the Hashirama cell, and here he is being sent to retrieve this puppet, which he even questioned, what use does it have to Kara? What use does it have to us? So I'm wondering what's going on with Deepa, but I think we know his weakness now. He has a limit. It's just like with Delta. There's a limit to his body, and he can only handle so much before it overheats. So that's the only thing I can see how Boruto and the others might be able to overcome Deepa, but yeah. So that's all I got for this review. So overall, another solid episode. I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. So guys, in the comment section down below, let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. You all stay safe out there, and have a great day or night wherever you're at. Peace.